everybody. It's Blue Gal, and I'm here to talk to you today about Sock Week. So exciting. I'm having so much fun. It is Sock Week, and there's 3 sock knit-alongs that I am participating in this month. And I want to share them with you because, again, I'm really having fun with this. First of all, the first sock knit-along that I'm doing, and this is something I've been doing since May every month, and I've been actually knitting socks every month since January of 2023. I've been knitting a pair of socks every month. But I started doing this with the Grocery Girls, and their sock bash for July is stripes. So I started with some striped socks. These are, this is a pattern. This sock is based on a sock by Tracie at the Grocery Girls, Tracie Millar at the Grocery Girls. And this is her Happy Place socks. And I'm using the stripe, the pattern of stripes that she uses in her socks. Here are her socks. And she did shorties, and she did these in DK weight wool. But I wanted to do them longer, and I'll explain why, a little bit longer. And I used this lavender as the pop instead of yellow because I was doing sort of a more nature-themed sock. And the reason I'm doing a nature-themed sock has to do with Sock Week. Now, Sock Week, again, Grocery Girls, this is for the month of July. People are knitting a sock or a pair of socks. Most people knit a pair, although the rules are knit one. Socks with the theme of stripes. And the rules are that you will knit at least one sock, casting on July 1st, knitting through July 31st as your deadline, adult size socks only, a 5-inch leg minimum, and DK or fingering weight. Those are the rules for the sock bash at Grocery Girls. And the theme, as I said, this month is stripes. Next month, it's basket weave. And in September, it's cable. So mixing it up, you do something different every month, and it's a lot of fun. And their sock bash is on Ravelry. You just go to their Ravelry group at Grocery Girls, and there's a chat room, and there's also a place to post your socks that is no chat. So then we get into Sock Week, which is Natty's Sock Week. And this year, she's doing something a little different. Sock Week has always been kind of associated with Shark Week. And so you would do a beach theme. I did a pair of socks with last year with blue and sand stripes and then a red toe as if, the sock had been bitten by a shark, that kind of thing. But this year, Natty has been traveling around the country and camping and going to parks and so forth. And so her theme this year is the great outdoors. And so looking for a way to overlap these knit-alongs, I did this light green yarn is called Park Services. This dark brownish green yarn is called Without a Paddle. And this lavender yarn is from Hedgehog Fibers. So I was thinking I was going to knit the second sock of these socks with those colors and that I would be able to overlap. Now, Grocery Girls explicitly says you can overlap their sock knit along with other knit-alongs. And with Natty, I'm just knitting one sock in a week. So finishing the first sock and doing the second sock during Sock Week would have been fine. But I finished this sock on Sunday, and I would have to have waited until next Sunday to start the second sock, and I didn't want to do that for a number of reasons. I had picked out actually 5 colors to put in this sock, and the two other colors that I was going to put in this sock turned out not to work with this yarn. The stripes just started blending together, and I just didn't like the result. So I only used 3 colors of sock yarn for this sock, and I cast on the other one Monday morning, and so now I'm beyond the heel for the second sock. And so these are my Grocery Girl socks for the month of July. I'll finish them by the end of July, and that'll be fine. And again, Grocery Girls only requires you to finish one anyway. The other yarn that I was going to use that didn't work out in this sock is this one. It's a beautiful colorway. It is from the late great Lorna's Laces, Shepherd's Sock Splatter Shot, colorway October 2019 Denali. And so that national park of Denali and the mountain and all of that, this is that colorway. I just love it. And like I said, it didn't work out with these other colors. It just sort of blended in and wasn't bold enough for me. So I decided that I would start the second sock that I'm working on for Grocery Girls, and then with Knitty Natty, I will knit Denali socks, but I'm also going to put some stripes in it. And I'm going to use the lavender from this that I have plenty of because I just did the heel. And also this color, which this is a Tosh Merino Light Hollow, HOLO, like hologram. It has stellina in it, so it's got those sparkles, and it's also 8% acrylic, and the rest is merino. So that's going to make a really nice bold and sparkly stripe in the leg of the Sock Week sock. And so that's fun, and that'll be quick because I'm only going to put the stripes in the leg of that sock, and then I'll just go to town on the foot. The rules for Knitty Natty Sock Week. The theme is the great outdoors, and you can knit by the theme or not, and you can knit by the theme or not as well at Grocery Girls. 1 sock in 1 week. You cast on July 22nd. That's Sunday at midnight, Sunday morning at midnight. Go to the 28th at midnight. An adult size sock. Shorty socks are okay. And you have to use fingering weight yarn. So, and it is entirely possible. I mean, this is me starting Monday morning and going to Wednesday while I'm on vacation from my part-time job. So, and I recorded a political podcast yesterday. So, I mean, I have not been knitting full time, but I'm already past the heel. So this is fine. I can knit a sock fairly easily in 4 days in fingering weight yarn, size 1 needles. And I am team double point. Did I tell you that this is, yeah, I did tell you. This is Park Services Without a Paddle is the dark brown. And that is, I wanted to say, that is by Leading Men Fibers in Clinton, Illinois. I wanted to make sure I gave them a plug. All right. Then the third sock knit along is Woolly Thistle, which is a yarn store in New Hampshire that has quite an online presence, and they're doing the summer sock sprint, which is very simple. Knit a pair of socks in 2 weeks. So you go from the 18th to the 31st, and that's it. That's all that's required. And so that overlaps with Knitty Natty and Sock Month with the Grocery Girls, and having so few rules, I signed up for that. As I said, Woolly Thistle, they're a yarn store in New Hampshire, and they have a sock grab bag that I did not purchase, but I thought it was interesting. It's enough for 4 pairs of socks and a Woolly Thistle bag, like $135, I think. So it's about $33 a sock, pair of socks. And so that's not awful. It's not the cheapest, but it's one of the skeins is a Zabra ball. and they have some nice wools in that bag. So if you want to go check that out, that's something to do. I just got back from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, visiting my family, visiting my dad, who just got out of the hospital. And while I was at his apartment, I saw a bag hanging from a door frame that I knew he had made. And he didn't sew it together, but he designed the fabric. This is, he calls this design Sisters. And my sister sewed this bag up with these tremendously heavy-duty webbing handles. It's very lightweight. It's just polyester fabric that he had printed by a company, but he designed the colors and the design. He also did this one last year, which is a much bigger bag. And this is not actually knitting. He designed this, but this is not actually knitting. You can see the yarn goes over and then under a loop. So it's not knitting, but it sure looks like a knitting bag. And the reason I bring this up is this was hanging from a door frame, and I said, I'm stealing this. And he said, well, if you're going to steal it, promote it, because eventually I'm going to sell these. And I said, okay. So if you're interested, leave a comment below. I mean, isn't that just amazing? But I stole it. I stole it from my dad. And then I meant to say that with Knitty Natty's Knit Along, I have in the past made a little shark bag for my socks. I thought I was going to be knitting socks with 5 colors of yarn, so I used a full fat quarter of yarn to make fabric. Excuse me, to knit. I'm losing it here, folks. To sew a little project bag, a big project bag, going along with the theme of the great outdoors. And this fabric has little colored Jeeps driving up and down the woods and the mountains. And the thing I loved about doing this is one of my audio podcast listeners sent me some yarn. They sent me some of this blue yarn behind me, and they sent me a little skein of German sock yarn. This is Taste of Wool Mice Twin, 80% wool, 20% polymode, so it's sock yarn. Spots and Wollmice, right. So this little brown yarn I put through my I-cord maker, and I found out these are still out there for $15. If you like making I-cord quickly, these are great. And there's videos on how to do it all over YouTube. And I ran this little brown yarn through my I-cord maker, and I did a picture of this on Instagram and Facebook as well. But that little I-cord going through the bag, I just thought was so stinking cute, and made it knitterly. So I'm very pleased with this bag, and I'll be using this during Sock Week and beyond. And what else do I have to show you? Let me see. Oh, so of course, the rule is when you get on an airplane to go to a city, you have to stop at a yarn store. And so my sister was very kind to take me. We looked up yarn stores, and she took me to the one that she knew where it was, which was wonderful. She took me to a yarn store called Sewickley Yarns, which is on 435 Beaver Street in Sewickley, Pennsylvania. They do not do online orders, but they will take phone orders. I'm going to check and see if their store has a website and link that below. Sewickley is a well-off suburb, and the yarn store reflects that. It's a nice yarn store and very clean and very well organized, and I enjoyed going there. I bought one skein of sock yarn because that's what I do, and when I visit a yarn store, and so I got this. This is Rico Superba Hottest Socks Ever, and it is a self-striping yarn that if you knit it from the inside of the ball, you will get stripes on the leg. If you knit it from the outside of the ball, you'll have a solid leg and stripes on the foot. And this green yarn barf that comes out of the center of the skein is how you divide the socks. And there's actually quite a bit there, but everyone that I saw knit on Ravelry who knit from this left the green off, and the green is right there in the middle and on the end to mark. And Arne and Carlos uses yellow, a stripe of yellow between their two socks for their self-striping socks. And I will say it was fun knitting this sock. I will do self-striping yarn from now on. Doing this and changing the color and using solid colors was not exactly my jam, but they turned out, I'm happy with them, and I know youngest child will scoop them up. And so that's fine. So I got that yarn, and at some point I will knit those. And then I found at the cash register, impulse purchase area, something called a Phlox multi-tool by Floop's Stitch Markers. They're in Vermont. And it is a little, try to hold it up here, Phlox, Flox multi-tool. Looks like a cable needle, but it bends. It's bendy, and it's covered with a, I'm going to try to hold that up, with a cord. Pretty smooth. And you can use it to hold a few stitches for cables, or to hold a few stitches where you drop them, to pick them up if you dropped a stitch. And then you can use it as a stitch marker if you just want to put that drop stitch there and hold on to it. You can do it that way. And I just thought that was kind of fun. And the big reason I bought it was that September's Grocery Girl socks are cable, and I know I'm going to be making some cable socks, and I think this is just the perfect tool for that. So this retailed at $11.50. The Superba hottest socks ever. It's a German company. There's a little label on there that says made in Romania. And by the way, this is I think 80/20. Let me double check that. It is 75/25, 75 virgin wool, so it's not merino, 25 polyamide. This is kind of a novelty, product. This yarn is probably going to be a little stiff until I wash it, but the colors are fun, and it'll be fun to knit. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this Phlox little tool works on cable socks. And I think that's it. I think that's everything. I am looking forward to Sock Week. I have participated in it for 5 years now. This is my 5th year. And I'm looking forward to knitting more socks and getting to it. And I appreciate your listening, and I hope you are joining in a sock knit along. Stephen West is having a sock knit along as well, but his runs longer and is a mystery sock knit along. A number of people on Ravelry were using this yarn to make his easy socks, which have a garter stitch heel. Go figure. Stephen West's knit-alongs do not coincide with these July knit-alongs because they go on for 6 weeks while he shows you crazy things to do with color. But, that's another option, is to do a Stephen West sock as well. But let me know what you're doing in comments, and I will see you next week and let you know how all the sock knitting's going, as well as talk about, I think next week we're going to talk about selfish knitting versus gift knitting, and what I have learned from being the mother of 3 and knitting sweaters and hats and socks and so forth for kids who are growing into adulthood and learning not to do that. So we will see you next week. Bye-bye.